Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith TV. Here are the stories making headlines beyond the continent. And we start off with, we'll begin the news in North America, where the suspect in the deadly New Orleans attack, Shamsud-Din Jabbar, has posted videos indicating that he was inspired by ISIS hours before ramming a truck into a New Year's crowd. This was revealed by the U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday. Biden added that the situation is very fluid and the law enforcement and intelligence community are continuing to look for any connections, associations, or co-conspirators. He said that the investigation included the execution of search warrants at various locations in New Orleans and other states, an operation by the FBI and other law enforcement officials at a traffic intersection in Houston, and questions as to whether there could be any connection to an attempt to blow up a Tesla Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas.
The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill, The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack.
Meanwhile, the suspect in the New Orleans truck attack has been identified as Shamsud-Din Jabbar. The FBI said he was a 42-year-old U.S. citizen from Texas. Talking about himself in a promotional video, Jabbar said he was born and raised in the state. At least 15 people were killed in the suspected terror attack, which also injured dozens of others. For News Central International correspondent Afia Hagen has more.
The man suspected in the New Year's attack in New Orleans served in the U.S. Army from 2007 to 2020, serving in both an active duty and reserve capacity. Shamsud-Din Jabbar served as a human resources specialist and information technology specialist. According to a now-removed LinkedIn profile, the 42-year-old had worked in various roles in the U.S. Army, including in human resources and IT, before he was discharged. He was deployed to Afghanistan from February 2009 to January 2010. He studied at Georgia State University from 2015 to 2017, graduating with a degree in computer information systems. Jabbar was married twice. His first marriage ended in 2012, and his second lasted from 2017 to 2022. He also appears to have worked in real estate, but his license expired in 2021. He had a criminal record relating to traffic offences and theft. A flag associated with the Islamic State group was found in the vehicle he was driving, and the FBI said it was investigating what affiliations Jabbar may have had with terrorist groups. FBI are now investigating Jabbar's links to ISIS and who else he was working with.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
Jabbar, a Texan-born U.S. citizen and Army veteran, made reference in the videos to his divorce and how he had first planned to gather his family for a celebration with the intention of killing them. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
And now for more on this, our international correspondent Afia Hagen joins us. Afia, what is the latest on the attack in New Orleans?
Well, yeah, the latest from the FBI press conference, which took place a couple of hours ago, 14 people killed in that attack. It was previously thought that it was 15, but it's now confirmed that this number is 14, and that includes the attacker, Shamsud-Din Jabbar, who was killed by the police. The FBI also now believe that nobody else was involved in the attack. They thought that perhaps yesterday he did not act alone, but it's thought that actually he did act alone. Now, he picked up the truck that was used in the attack in Houston, Texas on Monday before driving to New Orleans. And on that drive, he posted videos proclaiming his allegiance to the Islamic State group. And in a post, he originally intended to harm his family, but it said that wouldn't have illustrated the war between believers and the disbelievers. Agents are also currently searching a house in Mandeville, Louisiana, where 2 laptops linked to Jabbar have also been found. And although the investigations are ongoing into the attack in Las Vegas, where that cyber truck blew up outside the Trump Hotel, authorities have said that at the moment, there is no link between those attacks, although in the past few minutes, they have named the perpetrator of that attack. They found a military ID inside the cyber truck, and that person has been named as a U.S. Army soldier by the name of Matthew Allen Livelsberger. That's the military ID that was found inside the truck. Like I said, they have said there's no link between the attacks, but they are similar. Both took place on New Year's Day, both took place in tourist areas, and both perpetrators were members of the U.S. Army.
And what do we know about the victims of the attack?
Yes, 14 confirmed dead, as I said, and dozens injured, and some of them have been named. There was Nikira Dudoy, who was an 18-year-old aspiring nurse. There was a veggie hunter, a store manager, and a father of 2. Nicole Perez, who was a 27-year-old mother. Kareem Badawi, who was a student at the University of Alabama. And there was also Martin Tiger Beck, who was a well-known American college football player. Just some of the victims of that New Orleans attack.
This is a very sad situation all around. The attacker had affiliations with ISIS. Have ISIS now claimed any responsibility for the attack?
And that's a question on a lot of people's lips as to whether this was an ISIS-ordered attack or an ISIS-inspired attack. Now, lots of ISIS supporters online have been widely celebrating this and calling Shamsud-Din Jabbar a martyr and a lion. Now, others have urged caution, advising supporters to avoid using this kind of language just yet. Now, we do know there was a presence of the ISIS flag at the attack. And of course, Jabbar himself has proclaimed his allegiance to ISIS. But the question remains, was this ISIS inspired, as in, did he aspire to be part of the group? Did he pledge his allegiance, or was this ISIS directed, ISIS ordered, as in, did they tell him to carry out the attack? And that's what we do not know. Now, in an attack where it's perhaps ISIS directed, you'll usually then have videos that should be released of them sort of after they have been martyred, and those videos will be sort of directed by ISIS, and they will have more of the branding, I guess you can call it, where they will pledge more of their allegiance, say ISIS directed me to do it, and this is what has happened. We haven't seen that yet from Jabbar. Yes, we've seen videos of him pledging his allegiance and talking about what he wanted to do, but they don't necessarily have that ISIS branding, as it were. And so that's what's being investigated at the moment, as to how Jabbar is being linked to ISIS in this, and then that will really determine their response, if they have a response to what he has perpetrated in New Orleans.
And we wait to see what happens in the coming days and weeks. Afia, many thanks for doing this with us. Afia Hagen there, our international correspondent. The switch gears, but still in North America, a Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside a hotel belonging to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump in Las Vegas, killing at least 1 person and wounding 7, police have now said on Wednesday. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden said authorities were investigating any links between the Las Vegas explosion and an attack earlier Wednesday in New Orleans, where a truck plowed into a crowd of New Year's revelers, killing at least 15. However, Biden cautioned that no such links had yet been found. The FBI and local law enforcement said they believed the Tesla blast was an isolated incident, but they were investigating whether it was an act of terrorism.
So the individual that was in that truck is obviously deceased, still in the truck as we speak here today. Our fire department folks, Engine 12, a number of others. You'll hear from one of the fire chiefs here in just a moment, arrived very quickly along with my officers. And obviously we knew that we had a much larger event than just a vehicle fire. And so it's like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a cyber truck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet because it had most of the blast go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look, glass doors at the Trump hotel were not even broken by that blast, which they were parked directly in front.
In Europe, at least 10 people, including 2 children, were killed by a gunman who launched a shooting spree in a restaurant near the southern Montenegro city of Senatne that spanned several locations. Now, police launched an hours-long manhunt for the suspect who shot himself in the head when he was surrounded by police. And now, Police Chief Lanza Spanovic told reporters in his killing spree in Bacise village near Senatne, the 45-year-old gunned down at least 10 people, 2 of whom were aged 10 and 13, according to the police. Interior Minister for the country said that the gunman involved in a deadly shooting has now died after a suicide attempt.
I možemo da kažemo da je akcija uspješno izvršena. Dakle, ovo lice je bilo izolovano od strane ekspresnog djelovanja policijskih službenika i onog trenutka kada je vidjelo da se nalazi u bezizlaznoj situaciji, ovo lice je pokušalo da izvrši samoubistvo. Nije na licu ubistvo, nije na licu mjesta podleglo povredama, ali smo u međuvremenu, dakle, na putu, odnosno tokom transporta ka kliničkom centru Crne Gore, ovo lice podleglo povredama i dozvolite da u ovom trenutku prenesem poruke mira, što je bilo najvažnije večeras građanima prijestolnice Cetinje, da mogu da se u ovom trenutku vrate normalnom načinu funkcionisanja, da se...
And welcome back. Just beyond the continent, residents of Cetinje are in shock following a killing spree which took place in the neighboring village of Bacise, where a gunman killed 12 people, including 2 children, before shooting himself after an hours-long manhunt. The country has, however, begun 3 days of national mourning on Thursday. Meanwhile, the killing spree started around 5:30 p.m., that's about 16:30 GMT, on Wednesday at a restaurant in Bacise, a village near the southern town of Cetinje, according to police. Now, 4 people were also seriously injured and transported to a hospital in the capital of the country. Authorities continue investigations into the killings, which have left the nation grieving and questioning the motive behind the attack. Residents of the southern Montenegrin town of Cetinje are in dismay, expressing that the tragic event is more than just a crime.
Djecu, naročito djecu, a to je van svake pameti. Van svake pameti. Jer to nije zločin, to je nešto više od toga.
Ljudi s oružjem haos prave po gradu, dođe im tako i onda pucaju na sve živo. Što se tiče oružja i vašeg pitanja za oružje, to treba pod veliku kontrolu staviti ko ima dozvolu za oružje, ko nosi oružje, psihičko stanje, ispitivanje svih koji imaju i dozvole za oružje.
Što se oružja tiče, ja mislim da je to veliko zlo narod i da ga što više treba ukloniti iz naroda i sa vrlo malim brojem oružja ostati.
Što se tiče naoružanja, preporučio bih svakome da ga ne nosi sa sobom. Jer čim se nosi naoružanje, a boga mi i piće. Treba piće smanjiti u nekim normalnim mjerama ako ima razloga da popija, inače ne treba nikako.
And also in Europe, at least 4 persons were killed and 6 injured overnight in southern and eastern Ukraine after a major Russian airborne assault involving scores of drones launched from multiple directions. The Ukraine Air Force said that 72 drones were launched from the direction of Russia's Torsk, and that's Bryansk and Oryo province, to the northwest and Primorsko-Astersk in Krasnodar territory, which is southern part of Ukraine. Now, two of the civilian deaths and all of the injuries occurred in Kherson province after civilian infrastructure, high-rise buildings and houses were targeted all across the region, while one person was killed in the city of Mirmorad, which is about 35 miles northwest of Notix. Further to the west of the Zaporozhye province, a civilian was also killed in the town as well, which is about 25 miles southeast of Zaporozhye. Former center-right mayor of Rome, Gianni Alemono, has been detained in the city after his probation term was revoked when he failed to comply with supervision conditions. In February of 2022, Gianni got a suspended sentence of 1 year and 10 months in jail for influence peddling and illegal party funding in one branch of the sprawling political business racketeering case of the Italian capital dubbed Middle World. The former hard-right politician, who was Rome mayor for Silvio Berlusconi's now defunct center-right People of Freedom Party from 2008 to 2013, allegedly failed to respect release conditions, meeting Alemono, who was taken to Rome's prison, allegedly met several times during the course of 2024 with former lawyer Paolo Colosimo, who reports say was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months in 2018 as part of the Fastweb fraud case. Now off to the Middle East, where we can tell you that at least 34 Palestinians were killed in Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip on Thursday, including 11 in an airstrike that hit a tent encampment in southern Gaza. 11 people died in an airstrike on a tent camp sheltering displaced families in Al-Mawasi, which is designated as a humanitarian area by Israel in western Khan Yunis. The dead included the Director General of Gaza's police department, Mahmoud Salah, and his aide, Hassan Shawan. The Israeli military confirmed carrying out the attack, saying Shawan was the head of Hamas's internal security forces in the southern Gaza Strip, responsible for developing intelligence assessments in attacks on Israeli troops in Gaza. Qatar-based broadcaster Al Jazeera has on Thursday denounced the decision of the Palestinian Authority to freeze its work in the occupied West Bank. In a statement, Al Jazeera Media Network described the decision as an attempt to hide the truth about events in the occupied territories, especially events in Janeh and its camp. Palestinian security forces launched a security operation nearly 1 month ago against what they called outlaws in the Janeh refugee camp. The operation has prompted several Palestinian factions, including Hamas and Islamic Jihad, to accuse the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah of targeting resistance fighters in the camp. Al Jazeera said that the decision of the Palestinian Authority came following an ongoing campaign of incitement and intimidation by parties associated with the Palestinian Authority against Al Jazeera's journalist. In the meantime, Israel's former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, who was dismissed, by the way, in November after spearheading the military campaign in Gaza for more than a year, announced Wednesday that he would retire from parliament. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had sacked Gallant, saying there was a breakdown in trust amid disagreements between the two on several issues. Minutes later, his office released a photograph showing him submitting his resignation to the Speaker of Parliament. But he vowed to continue working with all of his strength, to bring the kidnapped sons and daughters back home.
מאז הודחתי מתפקיד שר הביטחון, נפל דבר. ממשלת ישראל, בהובלת ראש הממשלה ושר הביטחון, מאיצה חוק גיוס המנוגד לצורכי צה"ל ולביטחון מדינת ישראל. הצעת החוק מיועדת להענקת פטור משירות צבאי למרבית צעירי המגזר החרדי. את זה לא אוכל לקבל, ולכך לא אוכל.
And now off to Asia, where Bangladesh court has once again denied bail to an Hindu monk whose followers were accused of killing a public prosecutor amidst the religious rift in the mainly Muslim nation. Security forces ringed the court in the southern port city of Chittagong, where after violence erupted following a previous bail hearing. Daz has since rejected the sedition charges, but public prosecutors said that they had opposed bail because there was much more to investigate. The prosecution and defense both said the court had denied the bail application. The family of Saluf Islam Alif, the lawyer murdered in November, has filed 2 separate cases against those they say are linked to his death, including 58 Hindu lawyers accused of vandalism and carrying explosives. And that's all on Beyond the Continent. Now remember, they can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, on Star Times channel 274. Find us on Avo TV, stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.